In this video, I'm going to go over my thoughts and feelings about Warzone 2. I was lucky enough to be flown out to LA by Call of Duty, so big shout out to them and thank you for allowing me to go out there, get to play the game early, capture this content, and give you guys my feedback. Before we get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you guys haven't already dropped a like, I'd appreciate that. Subscribe if you guys are brand new around here. My overall thoughts and feelings of the game are going to be that it did feel good. I did enjoy the game. However, it seemed like they were trying to please two audiences, which resulted in a subpar output. And what I mean by that, it seemed like they tried to take the best stuff from Warzone and the best stuff from Blackout, but while doing that, they found this weird, odd middle ground that doesn't really work that well, or at least didn't really work that well in the games that I played. Obviously, I only got to play 3 or 4 games, so getting into the very first thing, it's going to be the looting. The ground loot is kind of not great. I was running around and looting, and I was getting these guns that weren't very good, so you're almost being forced to go ahead and buy your loadout weapon, which is extremely expensive and is going to slow the pace of the game down immensely because you're going to have to loot for a very long time. One other way I guess they could remedy this is having ground loot attachments that you can put on the weapons that you pick up to make them better and to customize them even further, and then obviously leaving in the option to go to the buy station and just buy a fully kitted weapon. Also, in regards to looting, some things auto loot and some things don't. The money automatically picks up and other things just don't automatically pick up, and I think it's because they have this very weird / awkward UI going on for your backpack. I think the backpacks are great, don't get me wrong, but the way that it's executed is a little bit weird. I don't think ammo should be something that we have to worry about looting and keeping an eye on, and if we do, I don't think it should take up a space in the backpack. Navigating a backpack on controller isn't terrible, but the less times that you have to navigate it, the better. Having your plates be in the backpack as well adds to a little confusion and awkward timing. For me in particular, it happened in a game. I looted, I picked up 5 plates, but in the bottom right hand corner it just showed that I had 1 out of 3 plates because it doesn't auto equip until you use that plate, so it doesn't tell you essentially how many plates you had, and it was one of those things that caused me a lot of confusion. The last thing I'll talk about looting, and this ties into my next point, which is the gulag, is that regaining is extremely difficult. You know, obviously in Warzone right now, you regain, you come from the sky, your teammate has either bought a loadout, the free loadout is in, so you can regain, which brings me to my next point. It's going to be the 2v2 gulag. This is not something that I'm necessarily super excited about, just because as a super competitive person, and I think most people would agree with this statement, is the last thing I want to do is put my confidence or have to rely on somebody else that has also died in the BR game that I'm playing in, have them help me win a gulag gunfight in order to come back in the game and help my team. I'd personally rather it be a 1v1, but I did like that you had to loot in the gulag. I thought that was really, really cool. The vehicles, I did only use one of them. I used a white Jeep, and it was very, very clunky. I got in it for about 2 seconds, realized how awkward it was to drive, and then immediately got out and started, you know, using the 2 feet and a heartbeat method because I was not about to be driving around the map in that thing. It felt very sluggish, felt like a tank. The best way I think I could put it is it was a lot like when Caldera first dropped, the Vanguard vehicles. It just didn't really work that well. I understand they wanted the game to be realistic, and I think they did this because they don't want people abusing vehicles like they do now in Warzone. An easy way to remedy that is, you know, make the cars nimble just like they are now. What if a player's going above, you know, 5 kilometers or is moving at all? As soon as they step out of the car, especially if it's going full speed, they take a significant amount of damage. I think that would be the best way to remedy that. That's just my personal opinion and the way I look at it. Next up is going to be the map. The map is absolutely incredible. The map gave me a lot of Blackout vibes. It was really aesthetically pleasing. With that being said, we loaded in with 102 players, which for a map of that size, I don't believe is enough players. My recommendation to them to help speed up the pacing a bit is going to be to, similar how Super People does it, when you spawn in, the first circle is already set and is there. Size the map down to where 3/4 of the map would be playable, and then 1/4 of it will be, you know, technically in the gas, if that makes sense. Which leads me to the next point, because you don't see a lot of people throughout the game, so what they've done instead is added AI into the game, and so you have these random literal bots in different buildings scattered throughout and with the stronghold. And while I do think the stronghold is very cool and I do think it's something that they should keep, I think that is the only instance in which the bots should be in the game. Overall, the bots were very confusing. You'd run at a building, have a heart attack because some guy's just standing in the middle of the room not moving, and then he starts shooting you, so you're almost penalized for trying to loot and go into buildings. And obviously if you're on a regain, say your entire squad gets wiped except for you, if you're on a regain and you run into a building, has a bot in it, you fire, you're screwed screwed. There's no chance that you're going to be able to regain. Something that I really did like and I thought was really cool was the proximity chat. I thought that was an amazing addition. How much that will actually get put into use once the full game drops, and I only say that because when you're talking in game, the enemy can hear what you're saying. Most people don't use Discord or TeamSpeak. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of people do use game chat, but I did have it to where I was talking with my teammate and I said, hey Burger, can they hear what I'm saying? And the enemy's name popped up and said, yeah, we can hear everything that you're saying, bro. We're coming for you. I could not believe it. It was actually terrifying. I think it's going to create a gold mine of content. I think it's going to be really funny if people even leave it on, because I do think a lot of people will turn it off. But overall, I'm excited to see how they implement it in the full game and how it is used. The next thing I want to talk about is the zone. I love the triple zone ending. I think it is one of the coolest things and one of the most innovative things I've seen in any battle royale. It definitely created a dynamic end game. Now, while my experience was positive, there is a possibility that it ends up being kind of a negative experience for some, just because, you know, you have a triple zone thing. Let's say there's only, you know, 5 teams left. There's 2 teams in zone 1, 2 teams in the other zone, and then in your zone, it's just you and your squad. Will that end up happening? Probably at some point, but is it going to be frequent? Is it not going to be frequent? It's one of those things that it could cause a lot of downtime during a game where people could either, you know, lose interest or, you know, just become bored, if that makes sense. There's a lot that could go wrong. I'm sure that they thought all of it through already, but I will tell you the triple zone ending is probably my favorite addition into Warzone 2. Moving on to the buy stations, I thought the buy stations were a little bit confusing, but I do not like how it comes up in the middle of your screen. It really does block out everything else. You can't really see what you're doing. And the other thing I do not like about the buy stations is that they close as soon as the gas touches them. In Warzone right now, there is no rhyme or reason to why they close, or if there is, I don't know why, because sometimes they stay up for forever and sometimes they close like immediately. I hope that they change that and allow it to stay open, not only to buy teammates back, but maybe you have, you know, you finally wipe the team right on the edge of the storm, you go loot them, you can go buy your loadout weapon, things of that nature. And also I hope that they, you know, change it a little bit to where it's not like these giant chunky blocks, maybe more of a streamlined list like we have now, maybe even a list that could be offset to the left side of the screen. I think it'd be great. You know, I'm not saying that everybody wants the same thing, but if they could offer a few different, you know, orientations of the buy station, I think that'd be a great thing to add. The thing most people want me to talk about is going to be the TTK. The TTK did feel very, very fast, but it is somewhat balanced out by the fact that the weapons are not very good, if that makes sense. Now with loadout weapons, I would assume the TTK, it's going to feel like you're going to be getting zapped. That's how it is in multiplayer, at least in this beta so far. I have some deaths where I just don't even know what happens. You blink and you're dead. In Warzone, obviously you survive a little bit longer because you have 2 plates, and then you have the ability to pick up a armor satchel, and then it will give you a 3rd plate, which is a little bit confusing, and I'd prefer that everybody has the same amount of plates. But I do think that they should introduce a helmet. I know some people might say, you know, I don't want a helmet, it's kind of whack, or, you know, this isn't PUBG, this isn't Blackout. But I promise you, there's nothing more frustrating than having a great game of Warzone and then, you know, some Timmy 400 meters away with an HDR or, you know, a sniper, one-shot headshots you. It is the most frustrating thing, and there is really no counter for it. Like I said earlier with the armor, I didn't like how it was in the UI, all the plates that you're carrying. I think it should be separate. I think the backpack spaces should be kept for lethals, tacticals, and kill streaks. You shouldn't have to worry about the ammo or the plates. In conclusion, I'm really excited for Warzone 2. I know that there were a lot of cons, but I am really optimistic about the devs and the dev team taking user feedback and implementing that into the game. I think the Warzone 2 that we saw and got to play was just the most stable version that they have, but probably doesn't have a lot of the changes that they already planned on fixing. So I'm assuming that they are on track for November 16th. Is the game when it launches going to be perfect? No, but I do have a lot of faith in the devs that they're making changes behind the scenes now to give us the best possible experience. In addition to that, I think that they'll be able to react quickly and, you know, adapt the game accordingly, as long as they up the TTK and kind of get this loadout situation figured out. But overall, I am really optimistic with how the game played. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you guys are brand new around here. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about, you know, not only the points that I made, but the gameplay that you saw and the opinions that you have formed. Obviously, please be respectful to each other in the comment section. This is everybody's opinions. They're entitled to it, just like I'm entitled to my opinion. I just want to make sure that the best possible game gets developed, gets made, and brought out. With all that being said, guys, I'll catch y'all in the next one.